Can you get the picture up off of NWI.com of John Doherty and the governor and all these people? We'll get to that in a second. John Doherty is with us. How you doing, John?
Terrific. How are you, Jed?
A veteran of sports medicine and for 4 decades or more. And if you got any questions, especially as football and volleyball and soccer heat up, tennis, if you got any questions, give us a call at 219-845-1100. If you're hearing this at another time, this is being recorded on Thursday, July 17th, and we're going to go straight to a couple of topics. John, it has been more than 1 year now since the passing of John Friend, certainly a legend in Munster and certainly a legend around PNW, but really kind of the region's kind of just a guy that people looked up to. It hit me harder than I thought it would, and I was corresponding with his son, Doug Friend. Of course, it was a tough day for Doug.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been a whole year
that
he's been
gone. He reached out to me that day too, and yeah, it's hard to believe it's a year, and there aren't many days that go by where at some point something happens where I end up thinking of John. And I would say the two of us, you and I, are sitting here largely for different reasons, but that come together because of John Friend.
A young physical therapy guy. You got a lot of your made a lot of your mark with John Friend.
If it wasn't for John Friend, I wouldn't be where I am today.
And bringing you into Purdue Cal and all that stuff.
Yeah. And the support that he gave me while he was on the Munster School Board when I was the athletic trainer. And actually, we're going to talk about something where there was a controversy that I was involved in, and it lives on to this day. And I'm in the governor's office, kind of at the end run of it. I wanted to put AEDs in the school town of Munster, and I thought it was a slam dunk when I brought the idea, and I had massive resistance. And fortunately, the one person who didn't resist was the person who was superintendent at the time. But it's remarkable the resistance these devices still receive from when we're trying. All they do is help people. So
I'm taking a tour for everybody on the Northwest Crossroads Conference. I went out to Hobart and met with the AD and all the coaches yesterday. And I wanted to get there early to see what Mike Black was talking with. I don't know, there must have been 20 coaches in there, and see what is happening in that world. And one of the largest topics of conversation with Mike and then Leto, if you know Leto.
Mark Leto, of course.
Leto.
Yeah.
Mark Leto was out there talking about really basically a law that you were very instrumental in going for, which is that everybody's got to know how to use the AED.
And they have to be there, courtside, field side, they have to be there.
Tell people what an AED is.
It's an automated external defibrillator.
And what does it do?
Basically, if somebody has collapsed, and until proven otherwise, when somebody suddenly collapses, you have to assume they're in cardiac arrest. The device is attached to the person. All the rescuer has to do, you don't have to be a trained rescuer, all the rescuer has to do is hit the on button. The device will tell you and then do by itself everything else that needs to be done. And in athletic arenas, the save rate with AEDs is 90% compared to less than 40% if there isn't an AED courtside. And they've recorded one save after another. I feel blessed in a sense. I've helped place them in schools all over Northwest Indiana, and 3 of the devices I've placed have saved people's lives.
One of them that did not get saved from SCA, I think it's sudden cardiac arrest,
SCA.
was the LaPorte young man.
Yes.
What was his name?
Jake West.
Jake West. I saw that his mom was...
She's led this charge that ended up with this law finally being passed that makes AEDs mandatory at all athletic events. And actually, if you read the language, makes AEDs mandatory at theater events and music events. So if the band's practicing, you have to have an AED present at your high school.
And I did go, like I said, to the most of the length of the Hobart coaches meeting, and and all the other affiliates, I want to come out and meet with you and your coaches just to understand what's going on. One of the things I did want to learn about was the AEDs. Lito was there, and he talked at length.
Sure.
But there are some concerns that Lito was bringing up. He probably didn't know he was going to be on the air, that the media guy was there. But you in these schools, you're trying to keep security, and you're trying to lock doors, and you're trying to keep people from going from one area to another. And it's just a security thing. I recently had Greg Mance, the former Griffith guy, in here, and we talked about how to just start thinking about security. That kind of is a little bit of a problem when you're talking about an AED that has to be available. And I think there's a 3-minute rule or something.
3-minute rule, yes.
Yeah, it has to be not just found in 3 minutes. You have to be able to retrieve it
and be back within 3 minutes.
And put it on somebody within 3 minutes.
That's the idea.
Yeah, and so many of you schools and many of you, whoever might have it, any institution, you gotta leave the door open so that
or make sure it's there, courtside or field side. It's got to be there. And there are a number of stories just in the recent past where the AED was there less than 100 feet away behind locked doors. And the person died.
That was the big thing. I don't know if you guys know Mike Black. He's a longtime coach. His dad was a coach.
Yes.
And he's honestly one of the athletic directors that I talk to the most. He knows a lot of history and the context for some certain issues. So this was an issue that I wanted him to talk about. And the biggest problem, and I've read an article about, is locked doors.
Yeah.
And if the AED is behind a locked door, you might as well not have one. But that's
let me tell
illegal.
You,
that's illegal.
It is. Now it is.
Yeah.
But when I first tried to bring them to the school town of Munster, and this is 24 years ago, 25 years ago now, and the one person in my corner was the superintendent. He did call me into my office, and he sat me down, and he said, "John, we're going to get these AEDs. And I'm behind you 100%, but I'm going to tell you one thing. If we need it, it better be used. In other words, it better be available, and somebody better use it on the person that needs it."
So there's
and I looked at him like he was crazy. Why wouldn't it be used? But that's the issue. Locked, people afraid to use them. That was unfortunately the situation. Part of the situation, I guess, with Julie West's son. There was a panic situation, and the person involved didn't step up.
It was, I think, 2013.
13. Yeah.
And it was kind of when people were first kind of hearing about them. Now, just to give some context here, I've known Doherty here for a long time, and he was the concussion guy, and that was what you thought of him as. And I remember going to see him, sitting in your office, and I had some problems when I was a trader with my neck and everything. So I'm in there, and you were always wanting to talk about concussions and what was happening. And then Fesco hires you over at Community to run a concussion clinic, and I'm like, how much demand could there be? Well, now you guys are known as the concussion people, and that's where you go for education and for treatment.
Right, yes.
So a similar thing has happened with the AEDs, is once again, Doherty got an idea in his head, and he's not going to stop until that AED is at every sideline, every courtside, every pool, every event.
Right.
And it had to be some sort of personal gratification for you personally.
It was. It was the end of a long effort, and I have to give credit really to Julie West. She was tireless, and to Senator Linda Rogers in Granger, because it was Linda who brought this legislation forward 4 years ago in Indianapolis. And the thing that amazed me through the whole process was the resistance she ran into. When she first brought it forward, she couldn't get it out of committee. Then the next year she brought it forward. The entire Senate voted unanimously to pass the bill. It doesn't get a hearing in the House. There was resistance in the House.
I was going to say, I followed it too.
Yeah.
And I think one of Braun's legislative aides, we were talking about it. I don't know if it's going to get past the House. I'm like, why would you not vote for this?
Imaginary roadblocks where there was one legislator in particular kept bringing up, well, what happens on a Sunday morning and it's a volunteer group and they can't get to the AED? Like, don't take it to the nth degree of minimal possibilities. Focus on what's the fact 99.99% of the time. It's going to be a high school event. It's going to be probably be a coach or a referee or a parent in the crowd that needs it more than the athlete. But nonetheless, if it's there, its chances of saving somebody is infinitely greater than if you're waiting for EMS.
So let's make it clear. Hey, Adriana, can you single shot this so I can get a spot here for 219 News Now? Hey, Hanson, will you quit talking to her? All right. I want a little clip for the news, to be honest with you.
Sure.
So what happened and why? I mean, tell people what passed and what athletic people need to know.
What passed is that now, like every other state that surrounds us, you have to have an automated external defibrillator at every athletic event, musical event, theater event, at a school, not just a high school, at a school in Indiana. And it has to be within 3 minutes of the event. So back and forth, you have to be in 3 minutes or less. And there has to be a posted plan of how to use the AED. And the other thing is the host school has to, before the event begins, has to inform the coaches or the leadership of the visiting school where the AED is. Those are the basics. The other thing is all coaches and leaders of bands and theater directors, they all have to take training in how to use an AED. The interesting thing is they don't have to be quote-unquote certified, but they have to have training on how to use it.
Wow, that was a pretty good summary. So I guess, I mean, how intricate is the training?
Technically, the training is you should get CPR trained, which takes 3 hours. And you should get certified by the American Heart Association or the American Red Cross. Having said that, they did a study on these things 20 plus years ago. They took a room full of paramedics and they just threw the AED in there and they gave them a scenario. You've got to resuscitate this person. And then they took a room full of sixth graders and did the same thing. Okay, no training on these AEDs. The sixth graders, on average, were 30 seconds slower than the paramedics. Because all it takes is opening the device and turning the button on, and it will take you through the rest of it.
And how do you connect to the person?
There are 2 electrodes that are put on the chest of the victim, one under the left armpit and one under the right clavicle. And all you got to do is put them on there, hit the button. The AED analyzes the person's heart rhythm and then tells you whether or not you need to deliver a shock. And if it says you have to deliver a shot, then you have to hit the button one more time.
So it does, I mean, from what I understood from Black and from Lido is that there is some, you need to know a little bit about how to...
a little bit.
About where to put the electrodes.
There's pictures on the AED that show you exactly where to put them.
So I want everybody to understand this, and that this, July 1st, I think, was the
law became effective July 1st.
And you have to have that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a little bit of I mean, athletic directors already have so much to do. I think Black out in Hobart was ahead of the game, and he already has everybody trained, and it was all. But the biggest discussion is on these AEDs in your schools and in your churches. I mean, I don't think it's mandatory for churches, but people are going to start getting
if it's a church that has a school,
yes,
it's mandatory.
Yeah, then it's mandatory.
Because this law, it says right in there, charter school, private schools, public schools.
And that's been signed, and it is law. Now, it also went into, it's going to be a big difference, and especially for the security and maintenance personnel and, the building managers and that kind of stuff. You're going to have to bring out the AED to every event. And you're also going to have to...
You need to have signage that indicates where it is.
And if you, like at Munster, if you have the basketball and the wrestling and the swimming all going on at the same time, it has to. I imagine the whole school knows where it is.
Yeah, and Munster has multiple, and most schools most schools have multiple AEDs in the building. There's not just one.
Well, I mean, just the practical details surrounding this worry me, and it was worrying Lito too.
Sure.
And because if you have, let's just say it is the fall, you got a football practice going on, you have a soccer match going on, and inside you have a volleyball game going on, and then you might even have somebody out there doing tennis.
Right.
I mean, I've ride my bike through Munster and went there. I mean, I could see right then and there, oh, they're playing. I'll stop and watch for a little bit. You could have 4 events or more going on at the same time. Everybody needs to know where that is.
Yes.
I mean, do you have 4 AEDs
at Munster? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you do have enough to have one.
Munster has enough, absolutely, and most schools do.
And I want to bring up another.
Highland has enough. Hobart has enough. Chesterton has enough. I know those schools have enough.
So July 1st were a lot of new laws that came in, but one of them that is not being felt yet, that could be perhaps the biggest high school athletics law maybe ever passed, is that you can transfer
Universal transfer.
Universal transfer now. And I got to tell you, we've never had so many calls about people that want to stream their games, because if you stream and the other person doesn't stream, then maybe the good 8th grade athlete will go to yours if you're on TV, right?
Yeah.
So what do you see with this new law?
It will be a two-way street. You say you could transfer. You decide you want to transfer from Highland to Griffith. Well, maybe Griffith doesn't take transfer students. That's part of it. You want to transfer from Hammond to Munster. Munster doesn't take transfer students. You want to transfer from Hammond to Highland. Highland takes transfer students. So it's got to be a two-way street. The school has to be willing to take you as well. But I would say with this law, the schools that don't necessarily take transfer students right now will probably have to change some policy and start taking transfer students, or they won't be able, unfortunately, we have to look at it this way, they won't be able to compete.
Oh, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what that means, to say that Munster is taking transfer students and Lake Central, I don't know.
And then the final part of it, you may want to take transfer students, but you may be at capacity. So as much, I know one part of state law is if you take transfer students, you have to take transfer students, and it has to be wide open. You can't pick and choose. Years ago, Munster had a policy that they would take transfer students, but if they came from a school, they had to have at least a B average. And the state told School Town of Munster, can't do that. It has to be, if you say you have 30 open spots and 60 kids that want to transfer in, you've got to have a lottery.
And just so everybody knows, this will change everything. Highland right now opens. And,
open enrollment.
And they're,
Whiting, open enrollment.
Yeah, you could see Whiting and Highland are not athletic powerhouses, but you get an energetic coach in there, and you get somebody that understands the rules. Highland's a good spot to be right now, because you could take anybody from anywhere.
Sure. And
there are other schools that are taking it, and I think others that are contemplating it. Really what it is we may become Indianapolis.
We have a long way to go to get to Indianapolis.
You can go anywhere you want, anytime,
Yeah.
and in the recruiting in Indianapolis among elite athletes, I shouldn't say recruiting, but trying to make your...
there's recruiting going on, there's no question.
Okay.
Yeah, there is.
I think that you can't use
And
that word.
The other thing that concerns me, because I had a head coach approach me about this, and it was a concern of his. You have street agents that are representing athletes at the college level with NIL. High school coaches are running into street agents, calling high school coaches, I'll bring you so-and-so, such and such an athlete from your neighboring town, and with an implication of some kind of reward for the street agent.
He's John Doherty. This was recorded on Thursday, July 17th of 2025. Thanks a lot, John.
It's great being here.
All right. Until next time, see you later.
See you in a month.